Hello, good evening. I would like to say thank you, Anne Schadde, Ajit Kulkarni, and Andreas Holling being this evening with us. And actually, this conversation is a continuation of a webinar we saw with Dr. Ajit Kulkarni a few days ago, where Ajit Kulkarni took a case. And there are so many questions arised after this case taking. So we received these questions from our participants, and we will try to answer. We will start answer by this conversation. So the first question will be to Anne. Anne, after so many years in homeopathy, so many case taking by yourself and seeing different styles of case taking. What is your impression about this evening we witnessed together a few days ago?
Yes, it's interesting for me to see someone else taking a case. It's always interesting because what I see in homeopathy is that everyone has his own rhythm in case taking, and this is very important too. What I saw with Ajit was that this is what Hahnemann meant, to ask for the symptom, to ask all what is the concomitant, what goes with it, what is important in every symptom, and then, and this is what I liked, is to bring this all together in the case. And this is what I very appreciated in this case taking. Yeah, it's not just a fantasy, it's just what we learned. It's a basic learning in homeopathy. And I mean, it's very important. Before you begin to fly, you have to know the rules. You have to know what you are doing. But only then you can lift up and, go on another path. Yeah, this is, I mean, when I began with homeopathy, said 35, 36, 37 years ago, we learned it that way. And I believe it's very good for the community. Yeah.
Thank you. And now I would like to ask Ajit. Ajit, we started this format only about 1 year ago. So before it, I'm not sure somebody did it in homeopathy. And during this last year, I see that you are changing a little bit your approach, not only to case taking, but case taking online. So what is for you online case taking, and how it different between your usual practice in a clinic?
I think that the greatest advantage the technology has given us is the webinar, the online clinical practice. You are with the patient, very few feet distance between you and the patient. You can also see the expressions on the face and the body language, which is available. So I think as a technological thing, I think that we are not at a big loss that I'm taking a case online. This is a very important aspect of the current situation, COVID state. The second thing is that once you know the fundamentals of the case taking, and when you focus upon what is the real sickness of the patient on which you have to prescribe upon, you do not get lost in the maze of the symptoms. Rather, you intelligently try to understand why the system manifested those symptoms. So, when I study the symptomatology, my purpose is not to only gather the symptoms. I want to see the connections between the symptoms. I always say that there is an organizing principle within the component. That organizing principle has to be found out. And then ultimately, that has to be connected with the patient as a whole, with the disease process in which your patient is. and the system is being suffered. So this particular way of understanding the case taking is a very good entry point, the point where you have to teach homeopathy at a large to the seniors as well as to the juniors, and then try to see that the whole is understood in a far better way. So you do not get lost in the fragments. And this is, I think, very important aspect of this educational webinar of live case taking, because you are tested as a homeopath, you are tested as an interviewer, you are tested as an analyzer, your capacity to synthesize the data after do evaluation. So at every level, you are being tested. And I think this is a big responsibility as a teacher in future. If we are beginning with this new happening based on our clinical and case taking orientation, I think that this will go a very long way. Then I think we can have a rational thinking. I very like the phrase of Anne that you cannot fly unless you are grounded. I think this is exactly, are we grounded in homeopathy, or are we using the imaginations and fantasies to build up homeopathy at a very different level? These are all the points which will be brought into clinical practice with all these considerations of the concept of the totality. This is what I think.
Thank you very much. And when we prepared with Andreas this webinar, we thought a lot how to bring this approach, a new approach to the community. And now, before this meeting, we discussed with Andreas something related to the webinar, and I would like Andreas to ask you a very nice question.
Yes, hello, Ajit. Just to tell before, I really loved to witness your case taking, and like Anna said, it's just a joy to see someone else to do it when you do it all the time yourself. And sometimes you see case taking in videos, but this is a whole long case taking, and you're also challenged to think and to put things together in the end. So I was really watching every detail. In the end, I had this question: how do you manage your time when you do case after case? And is it always necessary to do it in this thorough way? Or sometimes I thought, oh, you have to go long time with your own patients again. And it pays out to stay longer with them. So time management, how is that? You have a lot of patients wanting something for you. Are there shortcuts? All these things came into my mind.
Yeah. You see, the first case, we have to give the time. The patient needs thorough, undivided attention. In the first consultation, the patient expects from us undivided, total, adequate attention. And I think the real road to success lies with this. In the initial case interview, I have the habit to record everything, to write every word of the patient. This is a very strict warning to my patient that you must write each word of the patient in detail. This is only you have to do. Do not think, do not do anything else, just write down every sentence. Then I have all the record with me. So in my first prescription, when I feel that yes, it is not working, at least I have the full data to work upon. So this is very important aspect. You see, because I started practice 34 years ago, and I was with PQRS, I was with this remedy not working, therefore I will give this remedy. Because someone said that this remedy follows this very well. Someone said that this is a great remedy, it's a panacea. So I started using panacea with no result. So naturally, every case started teaching me something. Then I developed my own way of case taking, which must be comprehensive, but which must be adequately being documented also. This is one aspect. The second aspect, if you see about the time management, although for the educational purpose, I took a very long history. But you see, in your native language, for example, it doesn't take so much time.
True.
The third point, which is very important, I developed some interview techniques in my body language book. There is a chapter on communication skills, and I gave 27 interview techniques of clinical practice. I follow all these techniques in my clinical interview. I know exactly when that particular technique is to be used. And I have a big request to all of you that at least you must keep one lecture of mine to understand these techniques. It is full with elaboration of each concept, with cases, with illustrations, with problems that come up, and how the problems could be solved with the use of these techniques.
Ajit, please bring some examples.
Take, for example, there is a very good technique which is called as an open-ended question. In open-ended question, you have to give a wide platform to the patient to dance. So it's like, you see, it is not a specific question, it is not a dictation, it is nothing. Take, for example, patient tells you, I have pain in abdomen. My question is, give me details. Nothing else. Is it a question? No. Is it a furtherance? Yes. Are you specifically pointing to something? No. It is a free, general way of understanding. So this is called as an open-ended question. Let us take, for example, there is a technique called as a facilitation technique. This technique saves you from time. It saves you from asking many questions. Take, for example, okay, yes, oh, that's the state. It is a very bad experience for you, very bad. What you are saying, you are just reflecting upon what the patient says by precise pronunciation of something. These are called as feelers. So once you know how to use feelers, then that helps you not to ask question, but allow the patient to further the interview. Let us take, for example, the third technique which often I use. This is called a reflective technique. In the reflective technique, I use patient's words and give him back. You just told me that your pain in chest occurred after the heart attack of your father. Patient told me, my pain in chest developed after father's heart attack. What I am doing? Nothing. I'm just telling, oh, you told me that your chest pain developed after father's heart attack. Then this is just a repetition of patient's sentence. But actually, this is a stimulation to the patient to tell something. So there are many such techniques of use. There is a technique called as a hypothetical. If the patient is very reserved, patient is not talking at all, you are trying your level best, then you can use this technique. In hypothetical question, you have to just ask him, I want to know whether the patient has examination funk, anticipatory anxiety. Just I put up a question. Now think that you have examination today at 11 o'clock. It is now 8 o'clock in the morning. You have not studied at all. The subject is very difficult. What will you feel? What symptoms you will develop? Just a question and keep quiet. This is hypothetical question which you develop. So when the situation is that the patient is not coming out, there are so many techniques which you can use. I had a patient who had a disappointment in love, and he was not telling me anything about disappointment, how it occurred. Then I just made a body language like this, started looking at him. Nothing. I had asked one question. I want details. He was not coming out. I also keep mum, no talk, just looking at him in this posture. This is called as a evaluation gesture in body language. But you have to focus your eyes on the patient. So you will find, for example, you see now, this is my book, and you will find in this book, this is a how I made a this is a real picture, although it is not my picture. So this is called as a reflective posture for the sake of elicitation of the mole data, where you do not go into questions. I told you on the third in our webinar that more questions mean more rods in a prison. So how you can reduce these rods and allow the patient to talk freely? Although it is time consuming for our educational purpose, it is okay. But when I started using all this in my clinical practice, it really saves time. So time management is more when you use the techniques.
I
And
didn't
when
get
you
the last.
know, yeah,
Sorry, Ajay, I
the
didn't
body
get
language.
the last one. What was it? The raws? I didn't get.
The rods are there in the prison, no? And a prisoner looks through the rods.
The bars? Yeah.
Rods like this one,
I
no? There are
see.
rods in a prison.
Bars, yeah. Okay. Okay. Got it.
Yeah. So each question is like a rod. And when you
Yeah,
put so many questions, then sometimes your patient is engaged.
Okay.
This is the point.
Yeah, this is true. I studied psychotherapy, and these are all the techniques we learned in psychotherapy. But it depends on the situation. So that's why it is difficult even to say this is what you have to do. Then in that moment you begin to think what to do. In that moment you are losing in a way yourself. And the question is how to integrate this for patients, because I do it too. I know this is part of my case taking too, because I learned the techniques in psychotherapy. But the patient always questions for it. The patient asks for it, and you have to note how to react in that moment. I mean, this is in homeopathy very important. We can't
I
teach.
totally agree with you. But I think, Anne, once you develop this art and you focus upon the comprehension in the interview, and where you have to really find out the person behind the illness, then uh, it is comprehensive yet focus. The attitude is that you do not get lost in the specific. You collect the specifics together, and all the components of the specifics make the totality. So if you do not lose track of the totality, and this is the aim of the interview, then very intelligently you can use the techniques and go ahead rapidly. It is not a very time consuming process. With clinical exposure to many patients, it is possible that you understand what the patient wants to tell. And body language is such a very important theme of 65% information being given by the non-verbal exchange.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Sure.
yeah. So it is possible to save the time. Although our educational purpose is not this to save the time. Our
Yeah.
educational purpose is to give a very comprehensive understanding of homeopathy to the people. Yeah.
Good.
I
Ajit,
will just
yeah.
let me just I mean the main focus is not to lose track, just to
Correct.
to understand what is your real theme and where you want to go with the patient, where
Correct.
you want to.
Yes, correct. So you must have a destination. The
Yes,
second
right.
thing is compliance of a homeopathic physician as a human being to the other human being. That compliance requires a kind of a adaptability. I mean, you are parallel with the patient, you are resonating with the patient. You are vibrating very well with the throbbing individual. So if you are with the patient, then you do not lose the track of. It's just like you see forwarding the interview to make the totality complete. So it is possible that you don't lose the track. Your dullness, your lethargy, you see not very intelligent questions. The patient is ruminating over the same thing. He's repeating the same theme and unnecessarily taking up your time. Then what you will do? So you must have a technique. You must tell to the patient that you have said this information to me many times. I will prefer you not to repeat the same. Am I right? You should ask this. Maybe he a very big man, VIP man. So what? Yeah. So it is possible that you use the technique of confrontation also.
Yes, right.
Yeah, confrontation is a very good technique being used more by the senior people. Junior people might have a problem against the use of this technique. I often, because I am now a senior physician, and I think that I have the right to confront my patients, provided they are taking my unnecessary time also. Yeah.
Ajit, I would like to ask you and as well, Anna and Andreas, as we started this new adventure, before, when you as a teacher came to some country and you gave a seminar, and after that, maybe in half year, maybe in 1 year, maybe in 2 years, they will invite you once more. So this track is not with continuation first, and the second, you give your best during the seminar. You don't know what people will take, what was impressive for them, in what direction it could be developed. Here now we have another opportunity. We have opportunity not only to bring in knowledge, not only discuss between webinars, not only use homeworks and recommended literature and so on. I would like to ask all of you, let us imagine where we can bring this format for what we can achieve, what we want to achieve, what we want to give to community.
I think the answer of this question is it will be a very rewarding experience for those who are organizers, but it will be much more rewarding for the students who know the art of case taking, who know the art of documentation and analysis, and coming to the cohesiveness in a case, coming to the thinking which is more creative to bring out something. No education can be without some creation. Rather, the very definition of education, how you develop the creative minds amongst the students. So I think this is a very good area which has not been probed adequately. Although I have been given sporadic seminars in many countries and trying to deal with this issue. But with webinars, you reach to many people at once. You are being assessed by the people. And if the same case comes to you as a follow-up, really you are tested whether your thinking was right, what went wrong with you. Maybe you were right at that time, and you may prove to be something different, not wrong. Next follow up. This is also possible.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. And giving a different remedy doesn't mean that you gave a wrong remedy in the first instance. This is
Right.
not the truth of the matter. Yeah.
Anna, can you explore
Yeah,
it a little bit more?
yeah, I mean, often what I see in my practice and in supervisions and these groups, that sometimes you prescribe, and this can be that patient needs another remedy a second time or some months later too. It means we are going, in a way, we are guiding patients through their life. I mean, this is very important that, especially with children, they can change, they can be different in 2 years. So, I mean, we have to learn, we homeopaths have to learn how to guide patients through their life. I mean, usually homeopaths always think you give the first remedy, this remedy acts, and then you're cured forever. And this does not exist in reality, because sometimes it's good to help people manage in their life, to go on with their lives. I mean, for me, this is a very important part of case taking and
Yeah.
And follow-ups as well, not only see
and follow-ups, for sure, and follow-ups, yeah, and follow-ups. I mean, the art of case taking is something beautiful, and this is I mean, the magic part of the whole of the whole patient's guidance.
Yeah.
But to guide patients later on their path, this takes energy and time, and sometimes you know.
Yeah.
Andreas, what do you think, how we can increase, enrich, and give more possibilities for participants, not only to see, not only to be impressed, not only to, to see it as a know-how or how wonderful it is, but to be more practical, to use it from the first day, to take it for the personal life.
Yes, what I think is helpful is this is like Ajit also said, it's a real, somehow you could say, a challenge. No? It's a test, and you are witnessing real homeopathy. Let's say it that way.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's reality, and sometimes in the seminars we love to show the wonderful cases, and here we are open. We have to be open to not succeeding also, how to deal with failures also,
Correct.
and also the whole attitude is very helpful. You're not the master of the case, you're not the master of the patient, you're a companion, like
Correct.
Anna said. You're the one who's giving impulses, trying to find the right ones at the right point, like a teacher or a pedagogue. So it's more guiding, and sometimes the impulses are not going the way we like. Yeah? But you always have this overall feeling, you have a relation you feel with this patient. Yeah, I was really very touched when you explained, if someone is weeping, please don't ask. Yeah? Let it go. And so this was very important. So we establish a relation which is beyond words. And you can, we learn it from you, because it needs a humble attitude. So you are not the power person,
Yeah.
the person in charge. That's important. So this is what we
Yeah.
need to be as a homeopath, to be
And
open for things that can happen. Yeah.
Andrea, what I learned from homeopathy is a homeopath should not think that he is a sole doctor to heal the patient.
Yeah.
Whether he has the capacity to ignite the healer within a patient is much more important.
Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree. You know, in usual, we are homeopaths are different to the allopathic medicine, because the allopathic doctor, you go as a patient, you know, he knows it better than you, and he tells you what you should do and that you get cured. In homeopathy, we have to go look into each other's eyes, and we are trying to understand the patient. And this is what I mean with the magic of the interview. In that moment, the magic can happen. In that moment, you go eye into eye and understand each other. I mean, this is very important.
And
And let me give one other idea which just came, is it looks to me as if homeopathy is also a kind of patient. So our way of dealing with homeopathy, it's a kind of open thing. So we should not be fixed. What is homeopathy? And this is it. This is what you also teach, Ajit. You look to every side. New symptoms means new teachers coming up teaching you this. Other experiences doing this, and also you're asking the audience and you're estimating the audience. So this is like look into everywhere, and homeopathy will grow also, and it also will benefit from this open, humble approach.
Yeah. I want to say something different. Probably time may not be ripe today to say this. What I do in my clinical practice with a lot of students, because I'm always surrounded by students, I allow student to take a case before me and I analyze the interview of that student. This is the system which I am following since many years. So every month one interview is being taken by my student before me. And then I have to give guidelines. We go for the interactive group discussion only on the type of the interview. This is also a very good idea. So in future, after we develop this method and some of our students are ready to take the case before 4 of us, it is possible that we can analyze why this question was asked in this way. What could have been better?
Yeah.
And this is a very rewarding experience as a teacher in homeopathy also.
Yeah. This is what we do in our school here in Munich.
Yes, we also,
That in this is normal because they got to learn it. This is important, right?
Let us collect such ideas, and I like the words by Andreas. He said reality. So it seems that we found a very good word for this event. Homeopathic reality show, but it's good show. I mean, it's not only for enterprising, it is for much deeper idea. And this deeper idea, I would like to stress in a block called differential diagnosis. Ajit, I have to say, I heard from you differential diagnosis between sepia and Natrum muriaticum many times. And when you started this 1 week ago, you see this is sepia and this Natrum muriaticum. I saw, my first thought was, what else? And then you surprised me once more. Once more, it was something new for me. And I was so happy that this first thought, nothing could be new, disappeared immediately. And I was like a student first class to listen what could be so you are you are not only investigator, you just see as in a cinema and see something new will come now. And it came this time once more. Differential diagnosis between sepia and Natrum muriaticum.
I have been working over relationship of remedies since I'm connected to Dr. Tarkas, my guru in homeopathy, with whom I offered absolute homeopathic materia medica. And I want to send you the volumes of my absolute materia medica and other books at your address, both Andrea and Anne. Please send your address at me and I will send. This is my book on homeopathy in harmony in totality, first volume. This is the book on body language, and the third book is on absolute homeopathic materia medica.
Oh.
Yeah.
So I know what I am going to do in holidays now. Yeah.
Okay.
Nice. Interesting.
So you see, this is a show. Actually, show starts from the question, and then somebody gives presents to somebody else, and we are saying goodbye to the next show.
Yes.
Anne Schadde,
Bye-bye.
Ajit Kulkarni, Andreas Holling.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very, very much for being with us.
Thank you.
Yes.
See you in our activities. Bye-bye.
Repeat this. Yes.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Yes. Take care.